Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Join the only official Telegram channel of RAU'S IAS Study Circle to get relevant material and important updates. Hello everyone and welcome to Daily News Simplified, your one-stop solution to detailed analysis of current affairs which are published in the Delhi edition of Hindu newspaper. Articles dated 1st of September 2021 are listed on your screen, and the time-stamping for these articles is already given in the description box. So let us begin with the first article itself. One of India's important multilateral grouping known as BRIC is in news yet again. The reason being that India is going to host 13th BRIC summit through virtual mode. Well, India has already chaired the meeting and the summit in 2012 and 2016. And because of this, there is an author with the name Rajiv Bhatia, and he has written a very good article on the importance of BRICS and what possible solution can come forward in order to resolve the outgoing issues among the BRICS members. So this article came on page 7 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper, and the relevance of this article comes from the important events of international level which is asked by the UPSC in the prelims examination. From mains perspective, it is important for your India's international relation in General Studies paper 2. Now, when it comes to the content of this article, we will discuss about what BRIC is all about and its brief history. We will also look into some of the suggestions which are given by the author, and we will also look into some of the references. Well, BRICS has become an important topic for UPSC in 2014 as well, when they have asked a question related to an institution of New Development Bank which was founded by the BRICS member in a collaborative approach. So this proves that UPSC can ask the question related to the BRICS and related other groupings and many other groupings both in the mains and the prelims examination. So given that under consideration, we should look at what BRICS is all about. Well, BRICS with the name itself shows that BRICS stand for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, and it is an acronym which started in 2001 as a BRIC acronym. And this was actually used by the Goldman Sachs in their global economic paper. However, the BRIC started after the meeting of important leaders from Russia, India, China in St. Petersburg on the margins of G8 Outreach Summit of 2006. But still, we did not have a regular meeting of BRICS nation. The first BRICS meeting actually came up in 2009 and it was held in Russia. After that, in 2010, South Africa became a member of the BRIC and the grouping together became as BRICS grouping. When it comes to the relevance of this grouping, we could easily see it from the important data which proves that 42% of the world population resides in these countries. This group has over 30% of the land area, 24% of the global GDP and covers 60% of the international trade. When it comes to the relevance of this article, they have also listed down two important quotes which were made by India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. These quotes actually are useful for your mains answer writing, especially when it comes to the concluding part. They are also important for your essay paper on topics covering the international relation. So the first quotation was that BRIC as a young adult, equipped with thoughts shaped and a worldview concretized and with a growing sense of responsibility. Well, this proves that BRIC is not just a new grouping, but as a small and a young grouping, it is growing as an important viewpoint at the international platform. The second quotation of Jaishankar was that counter-dominance instinct and the principled commitment to multipolarity in all form is written into the DNA of BRICS nation. Well, this also proves one of the objective of the BRICS nation, that they are looking for multilateral partnerships. So the reason for creation of BRIC was multilateralism, rule-based transparent order, open and inclusive multilateral trade, and non-discriminatory cooperation. On the basis of this objective, grouping has created many institutions including your New Development Bank, Contingency Reserve Arrangement and many other, including your strategic partnerships among the members. They have also come forward to create disaster resilient infrastructure. Well, if you want to go through all these important points, critical analysis of the BRICS nation, as well as India's role in the BRICS grouping, you can go through the DNS, which I have discussed on 31st of July 2021, for which I have also provided the link in the description box. So over there we have discussed the pros, cons and entire critical analysis of the BRICS grouping. So for today, saving the precious time of the students, we will discuss into the other way forwards which were provided by the author. The author in this article has actually said that it is important for the grouping to pursue reforms on the multilateral institutions. See, what we are observing as of now is that top nations like India, China, Russia, they're fighting for a good positions in the multilateral institutions. We have recent example where India's move as a partner, as a member of the UNSC to go for specific targeting of the terrorist group in the Afghanistan was not welcomed by Russia and China in the annual meeting. And that is something which we need to focus upon. If this group wants to go for a long-term beneficial outcomes, they have to go for reforms in the multilateral institutions. For that, they have to stand on a single ground. We have the issue of China restricting India's permanent seat in the UNSC. We have seen China creating similar problems when India tried to go and list out important terrorists at the international platform. Similar kind of initiatives do not provide a better grouping at a smaller level. So what they need to do, they have to reform at the multilateral institution, the best example being your United Nations, World Bank, International Monetary Fund, WTO and many others. They also include talks on the climate deal. The second most important thing which author believes and which is also true as of now is that the member should come forward with a single target resolution to combat the terrorism. See, as of now what we are having is that nations which have proximity with Pakistan, the most important being your China. And China also shares the border dispute with India. And if China finds that India is no longer having beneficial initiative in Afghanistan, they are going to support the Talibani establishment either directly or indirectly. And this goes against the objective of BRICS grouping. Because if two members of a grouping hold different ideology on the terrorism front, they will definitely bring the same conflict in the grouping as well. So what they do, they need a resolution, a common ground on the combating terrorism. We also require diversification and the strengthening of the regional value chains. See, what we are having is that India and China are fighting for finding a greater markets at the global level. India is looking for extending its global value chains, where China is already dominating. Given that problem, India is looking for smaller partners, smaller countries, most importantly being in Central Asia, Southeast Asia and Africa. And China, on the other hand, is also looking to expand its already consolidated markets. Given these issues, what India requires, along with other four members of the BRICS, is to create small regional value chains, where these countries can come up and create small infrastructure or nodal points and improve their supply chains at the global level. According to author, countries in the grouping should also support on technological and digital solutions to achieve sustainable development goals, and also the people-to-people cooperation. See, because of the COVID-19 crisis, what we have seen in the last 16 to 18 months is that people-to-people cooperation has remained very limited. And because of this limited interaction, the organic aspect of a multilateral organization is somehow missing. And for that, the countries in this grouping require more international interactions. For this, the basic theme could be the 100% utilization of the air traffic. Now, given this important discussion in mind, I would request you to go through the link which we have provided in the description box and combine both these articles in order to get a complete picture of the BRICS grouping and India's relation into it. Now, given this discussion in place, I will leave you with this important prelims related MCQ. So read this question carefully and answer in the comment box. With this, now we will move to the next article for the day. This article got published on page 7 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the recent move of the central government in order to appoint 9 judges to the Supreme Court in just one go. The imminent benefit of this move is that it will reduce the vacancies of the Supreme Court to just one. Well, as of now, there are 34 judges in the Supreme Court, including your Chief Justice of India. So now the vacancy will go only for one, given the 33 are now working. The context of the article says that Central has approved all 9 names recommended by the Supreme Court Collegium for the appointment of Supreme Court. Well, this time the list has actually included 3 women judges, which is the first time in the history of whom Justice Nagarantha could become, see, the point is could become the first woman Chief Justice of India. Well, this is surprising to note that even after 70 years of independence, that India did not had a women Chief Justice of India. Well, irrespective of the number of women that have served in the Supreme Court, the ratio has never even touched the 50% of the total capacity. Well, 50% is even higher. They have not even touched the 1/3 of the total capacity. So as of now, in order to touch the 1/3 of the capacity, the Supreme Court should have or should had 11 women judges to meet the target. Well, there is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution about the reservation of women in the higher judiciary. Forget that, there is no reservation which is applicable to the higher judiciary. And this is one of the reasons why we always say that judiciary at the higher level should also go for equitable representation of the people from the society in order to take their viewpoint into the consideration. Well, from the perspective of the both prelims and the mains examination, judicial announcements and the Supreme Court activities are important. So keeping that under consideration, we will look into the constitutional positions of the judges' appointment with special focus to the Supreme Court. We will also learn about the importance of the collegium system, how it evolved, and what are the pros and cons associated with the collegium system. So let's get started with the first one. These are the important articles which are given in the Indian Constitution and are associated with the appointment of the Supreme Court judges. Well, Article 124(2) says that every judge of a Supreme Court shall be appointed by the President by warrant under his hand and seal. Article 124(2)(a), which is a sub-part of the above article, says that a judge may, by writing under his hand addressed to the President, resign his office. So, the resignation letter should go to the President directly without any executive or the judicial interference. When it comes to the Article 124(4), it talks about the removal. It says that a judge of a Supreme Court shall not be removed from his or her office except by the order of the President. So here also the role of the President is very important. But this order is not subjected to the personal will of a president. This order should be passed by both the houses of the parliament, supported by majority of the total membership of that house, and by the majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of that house present and voting. So if you are reading about the Indian Polity through M. Lakshmikant book, you must have gone through different kinds of majorities which are required to pass a particular resolution. In this case, in order to pass an order through the President, Parliament have to come together. At each house of the Parliament, it is not a matter of joint sitting. Each house should pass this separately with the majority, which means 50% of the strength plus 1, along with not less than 2/3 of the members who are present and voting. So this is very important thing which you need to remember for your prelims examination. This majority then will help to pass an order, which order will go to a particular judge through the President, and that judge will be liable to leave the position. Article 124(6) talks about oath and affirmation of a particular judge in a Supreme Court. It says that a person who is appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court will take an oath and affirmation before the President or any other person who is appointed by the President. And we know that these oath and affirmations are given in the 3rd schedule of Indian Constitution. So, irrespective of how a person is appointed, resignation, removal, or even the oath, everywhere you will find the mention of a single person who is the President of India. But as we know, the executive power, the real executive power of the President lies with the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. So in this case also, will, ideas, advice, everything comes from the Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister. President is acting as an implementing authority in this case also. And lastly, we have Article 124(7), which puts restrictions on the practice by a particular judge after the retirement. This article says that a person who has already held an office of judge in the Supreme Court will not be allowed to plead or act in any court or even before any authority within the territory of India. Are you getting this point? See, this article has actually provided an ample space for a person to act or plead in the international level. They are restricted at the national, but they are not restricted at the international level. Now, I want this from you. Who was the person who was appointed as a judge at the international level after being a judge in the Indian Supreme Court? If you know the answer, please comment in the comment box. Now we come to the point that what is a collegium? I believe all of you must have read it previously. If not, then go through this discussion in a much detail. Well, collegium system is one where the CJI and a forum of 4 senior most judges. Well, this can differ from country to country, and it is not important that every country should have a collegium. However, it is important for India. So this system has now 1 plus 4 judges of the Supreme Court who recommend appointment and transfer. See, both appointment and transfer are part of the collegium activity of the higher judiciary. Now, what do we have learned from this definition? The first one, that there are 5 members. The second one, all of them are from Supreme Court. The third one, that they only recommend, they do not take the final decision. The fourth one, that they are looking for appointment as well as transfer for the judges. And the fifth one, that they are looking for higher judiciary only, which means they can take decisions on High Court as well as Supreme Court. So we do not have a collegium system at the High Court level. So this is what we have learned so far. Now, how collegium system came into existence? Well, it is based on the 3 important Supreme Court judgments which were made previously, and they are known as judges cases. They are 3 in number. In first case, the Supreme Court has clearly said that opinion of the Chief Justice of India and the Chief Justice of the respective High Courts were merely consultative. It means they are not final, and the power of appointment resides solemnly and exclusively with the central government. Well, in simple terms, it means that this case has proved that Supreme Court is not the final authority to decide on the appointments and give enormous power to the central government to override the opinion given by the CGI. However, under second judge's case, Supreme Court gave a different judgment. Well, this case is famously known as Supreme Court Advocates on Record Association versus Union of India, 1993. Under this case, Supreme Court has clearly emphasized that government does not enjoy primacy or absolute discretion in the matter of appointment of Supreme Court judges. Hence, what they should do? They should look for participatory consultative process, and said that the power of the executive should be just to go for providing checks and balances and not practice in absolute terms. Well, it simply means that the absolute power which was given to the executive under the first judge's case was now denied. However, still there was a set of confusion that how this consultation should be made possible. What should be the ideal criteria? What should be the procedure to go for collegium type of system? Well, this problem came to an end under third judge's case, which is also an important precedence when it comes to the presidential reference to the Supreme Court. Well, under Article 143 of the Indian Constitution, President can refer a particular matter for the advisory jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And because of this reference, today we are having the collegium system. So, as per this case and the judgment, Chief Justice of India shall consult 4 senior most judges of the Supreme Court. Now we come to that number of 1 plus 4. And this 1 plus 4 grouping is actually the current status of the collegium. We know that National Judicial Appointment Commission was created in order to replace the collegium system. However, this was struck down by the Supreme Court, saying that it goes against the independence of the judiciary and balance of power. However, under this case, Supreme Court had an opinion that all the member of the collegium regarding their recommendation shall put it in the writing. It means that whatever they recommend for the appointment of a particular judge should be given in a writing form. It should not be oral. Secondly, they should follow the majority rule. Now, what does it mean? It means that if the majority of the collegium is against the appointment of a particular person, let's say 3 out of 5 members say that a particular person is not eligible to be a judge in the Supreme Court, then that person will cease to be a member in the Supreme Court. However, we have an exemption in this. A High Court judge of outstanding merit can be appointed as a Supreme Court judge regardless of his standing in the seniority list. See, the most important issue regarding the collegium system is what amounts to meritorious eligibility. And the second important list is how to come up with an important, non-partial and ethical seniority list. If these two issues are resolved, collegium system can become more accurate and trustworthy. Now, given the evolution of the collegium system in India, now let us also look into what are the pros and cons of the collegium system in India. The first important merit of the collegium system is that it ensures the independence of the judiciary, because under the system, the executive control or the executive initiative comes only at the later stage or at the last stage of the appointment. So, President is not consulted while going through the merits of a particular candidate. Prime Minister or the Council of Ministers are not at all involved while listing down the important members to be appointed to the Supreme Court. Hence, it ensures the independence of the judiciary as mentioned under Article 50. As we have discussed previously, the recommendations and the views are taken in the writing format. So, a person cannot deny that he or she has recommended or not recommended to a particular person in the future. So, the possibility of denial in the course of appointment is ruled out. The prevalence of the majority opinion also favors that it is based on a democratic process. If more number of collegium members are against a particular person, he or she ceases to be appointed to a judge in the Supreme Court. Reservation given by even 2 members or the 2 judges in the collegium system is also taken very seriously. It means that if 2 members in the collegium says that a particular person is not eligible or is less eligible than the other candidate, that person is also ceased to be a member in the Supreme Court. And lastly, it allows talented lawyers from the Bar Association to be appointed as a judge. Well, this is something which is very good. It actually removes the issue of uncle judges, where the member of the judiciary who know each other favors each other. So we have that kind of issue in the lower judiciary, but appointment of the lawyers to the Supreme Court and the High Court has reduced this issue of uncle judges to a considerable level. Now let us come into the demerits of the collegium system. The first one is the lack of transparency and accountability. As we have discussed previously, because of the ambiguity in what amounts to the seniority level and what amounts to the merit of a particular person, there lies an element of lack of transparency and accountability. Despite giving the recommendation in the written format, a particular member of a collegium is not accountable to why and how they have appointed a particular person or recommended a particular person. There is no authority in India that can question that why a particular judge was appointed as a Supreme Court judge. Secondly, we have lack of consensus among the members of the collegium. The point is, let's say there are 4 members who are saying that a particular person is eligible. However, Chief Justice of India is not finding it to be eligible. There might also be a case where one person knows the background of the eligible candidate to be in the dark format. However, the other judges, that is 3 or maybe even the Supreme Court Chief Justice, say that a person is eligible. What is the solution to this kind of problem? It is yet to be answered. There have been some allegations regarding the nepotism practice in the Supreme Court, which says that number of judges who have been appointed had one or the other linkages with the past political parties or the current political parties, which actually brings down the quality of judgment in the future. We also have politicization of the judiciary, where the judges who have been appointed by the collegium, or in fact the members of the collegium, have been given political patronage in the future. We also have absence of permanent commission. Law Commission, under its recommendation of 121st report, has proposed to set up a National Judicial Service Commission to appoint judges. In fact, National Commission for the Review of Working of the Indian Constitution in 2002 report has also highlighted the need for National Judicial Commission for the purpose of appointing members to the higher judiciary. But both these recommendations were sidelined. Judiciary earlier has also declared NJAC Act, that is National Judicial Appointment Commission Act, and its particular constitutional amendment as unconstitutional. Many political scientists have called this as a overreach by the judiciary, who were not open to go for compromising situation and balance of power. Because declaring NJAC as unconstitutional has also raised fingers on the working of the judiciary, which is supporting a mechanism where judges are appointed by the judges without any role of the executive and in fact the legislation. Now, given this discussion and the analysis of the NJAC, we also come to the conclusion with this important prelims question. So read this question carefully and answer in the comment box. Let us now move to the next article for the day. This article got published on page 11 of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the recent move taken by China in order to create a road rail linkage to Indian Ocean connecting Singapore via Myanmar. The context of the article says that Chinese planners have been looking out for an outlet to the Indian Ocean in order to bypass the Malacca Strait. Well, in this regard, what they have done, they have launched a new railroad transportation channel to Indian Ocean, and it is being called as China-Myanmar New Passage or CMNP. Now, the point is why this article is important for us. Well, China has become a nightmare for India as far as neighborhood diplomacy is concerned. Given the Chinese expansion and its policies, a new linking route via India's neighborhood, that too opening in Bay of Bengal, that is the neighboring water body of India, is a matter of concern. This transport corridor will involve sea, road and railway links. The ship route will have linkages between Singapore to the Yangon port, which is part of Myanmar, and it will go through the Andaman Sea, where India as of now is holding the naval strategic importance. Then comes the role of road, which will pass through the Yangon port to the Linkang of Chinese side. And finally, there will be a railway line from Myanmar to the Chengdu region of China. Basically, it is trying to connect Singapore to China via Myanmar, which will act as a linking nation. And because of this, one-way trade will save about 20 to 22 days of trade timing. And apart from that, the most important thing being that it will be Chinese first linkage, direct linkage to the Indian Ocean. Apart from the article itself, this trade route will provide the following concerns for India. First of all, it is like a threat to India's external security because Andaman and Nicobar lies in the Andaman Sea. And as a reason for that, Chinese vessels will have very, very close proximity to Indian territorial regions. India will lose on its advantage, which it is actually enjoying right now as far as Malacca Strait is concerned. We all know the problem of Malacca dilemma. As majority of Chinese trade passes through the Malacca Strait, China is looking for alternative routes, and this could be the one. The proximity also causes concern for the Andaman and Nicobar. India will also have a loss on the strategic trade routes because as China become more competitive and will reach early to Singapore and Myanmar, India will definitely lose on its important trading partners. Chinese surveillance can also increase in the exclusive economic zone in and around the Andaman and Nicobar, and given the military coup in Myanmar and the rising Chinese-Myanmar proximity, this route can also lead to the rise in the insurgency in the northeast India. Given all these problems, India can go for three important solutions. The first one being to go for wait and watch approach, as the route has only been announced and has not been completed. Plus, this route is very harsh and is going to be passing through important hills and the geographical adversities. Hence, it is very unlikely that this project is going to be materialized in the reality. The second could be that India can go for confidence building measures along with Myanmar and China. And the third one being that India could go for more engagement with Myanmar irrespective of who is governing the nation, and can go for mutual assurance on security and the strategic importance in the Bay of Bengal and Andaman Sea. Given this discussion in place, let us now look into the important question attached to this article. So read this question carefully and answer in the comment box. Let us now move to the last article for the day. This article got published on page 1st of Delhi edition Hindu newspaper and talks about the recent resolution from the United Nations Security Council, which was led by India in order to address the key concerns in Afghanistan. Well, we all know that there are some unfortunate turn of events which have led this country into turmoil. And the rise of Talibani forces in the Afghanistan has led also to the security concerns in the neighborhood and of course the extended neighborhood of Afghanistan. And being a non-permanent member to United Nations Security Council, India has led a resolution on Afghanistan, which has been passed by the United Nations Security Council. But two of the P5, that is permanent 5 members, including Russia and China, remain absent from the voting. Now, what this article is all about, we will read about the resolution. We will also read in detail about the functions and the powers of UNSC. We will also look into the composition of UNSC from the prelims perspective. We will also look into the issues with the functioning of the United Nations Security Council and also the reforms which have been proposed. More or less, this article will cover your mains perspective for your general studies paper 2, because there are very high chances that UPSC may ask on UNSC maybe this year or maybe next year. So prepare this topic in a very thorough manner. So let us start with what this resolution is all about. Well, this resolution, which was actually led by India, is a resolution on Afghanistan. Now, what this resolution actually talks about? It says that Taliban, which is now in the power, will keep their commitment to restrict the terror group on its soil and will also provide safe evacuation to all Afghan nationals who are wishing to leave the country. It means the Taliban will act in a human manner. Apart from this, the resolution demands that the Afghanistan territory will not be utilized to attack any other country. Simply, they want to convey to the Talibani forces that they should not spread terrorists beyond their borders. Of course, they should restrict it in their own country, but extending the terrorist groups or even helping the terrorist group in the other countries to create law and order situation should be avoided to the maximum possible limit. Apart from that, they have also covered the issue of financing the terrorist attack, which we all know is the real concern for India itself. Because most of the organizations, including your LET, that is Lashkar-e-Taiba, and your Jaish-e-Mohammed, are receiving foreign funds, which actually help them to buy weapons and create terrorist attack on the foreign soil, especially India. And because of these issues, this resolution was forwarded and was passed. Now, why China and Russia remain absent? Well, they do not have any emotional attachment to the Afghanistan in that manner. Well, they have one issue. They are asking that why Islamic State, also known as ISIS, and the Uyghur East Turkestan Islamic movement was not added or was not part of the resolution as a whole. Well, this claim of Russia and China are legitimate. However, these claims are based on the personal interest of these two countries, not the international concern. Now, as this resolution has been passed, this will provide the international community to look into the Afghan problem through a single lens. Plus, it will also provide the security angle to the international organizations who were providing some kind of relief to the people of Afghanistan, especially those who were foreigners on this land. Now, given this resolution at place, we should also know details about the UNSC. What are the powers and how it is actually functioning? So, the powers and functions of UNSC are as follows. The Security Council has a primary responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security, and therefore takes the lead in determining the existence of a threat to a peace or an act of aggression. In case of conflict, UNSC can call upon the parties, that is the nations involved in the dispute, to settle peacefully. If they do not settle for a peaceful agreement, the UNSC can impose sanctions and even authorize the use of force. And force here means UN peacekeeping force. They may even deploy armies and other defense forces along with the weapons. And why this is done? It is just to maintain and restore peace and security. As we know that there are many other organs of the United Nations which may or may not take any particular decisions. They recommend on a particular front. We have organizations like UNICEF, we have organizations like World Health Organizations and many others. But the decisions which are taken by the Security Council are in the form of obligations. And every nation which is under the obligation of the Security Council has to and must implement their orders. If they don't, they have all the above means to take a particular action. Given these powers at place, United Nations Security Council have the following composition. Well, since its formation, United Nations Security Council under the Article 23 have 15 members, including 5 permanent members. And which are these 5 members? Well, they are UK, US, Russia, China, and France. Apart from these 5 members, there are other 10 non-permanent members and they are elected for a period of 2 years. Currently, India is one of the non-permanent member. And there is one condition also, that the member or the nation which is retiring from the UNSC are not eligible for the immediate re-election. And the reason behind this was to keep certain nations from being a virtually permanent members, despite being a non-permanent member. So a nation which is a member for 2 years has to retire and will not remain eligible for re-election. Well, each year, 5 members out of 10 are elected for the non-permanent seat for 2 years. Well, the non-permanent members are 10 in numbers and they are regionally distributed. 5 are coming from Asia and Africa, of course, because these 2 continents are the largest and they hold the largest number of population. 1 comes from East European state, 2 from your Latin America and the Caribbean state, and 2 from the Western Europe and other state. And together all these 15 constitute the UNSC and provide the functions that we have already discussed. Now the concern is, what are the possible issues which the functioning of the UNSC is facing? The first issue is that the membership of the Security Council has remained same since the inception in 1945. So the 5 permanent members are same since its inception. However, the 10 non-permanent members have been kept changing. The members which were permanent members back in 1945 are not the major economic and the security power as of now. Well, we have US, China and Russia into the picture. However, the supreme power of UK is diluted and France is now also losing its international power. We have new nations emerging such as India, we have Saudi Arabia, we have Brazil, and of course we have other small countries like Japan and Germany. Well, these are also the important contenders for the Security Council, as these are one of the net security providers across the nations, and they also provide man and material whenever they were needed. The second issue is also related to the difference between the permanent and the non-permanent seat, which is found to be very discriminatory. And still, the UNSC is not capable to provide a logical solution and an answer to why the 5 permanent remain the permanent. They also have problem related to the decisions probability, as it remains very, very low. As you can see, just one veto by any particular member can restrict a particular or an important international decision. Similarly, as of now, as we can see, China remain an important force behind restricting India's proposal to name many international terrorists on the UNSC list. We also have problems related to the performance of the UN Security Council, especially in the maintenance of peace and security. UNSC actually failed to provide a quick action in the case of Somalia and Rwanda. In case of Somalia, what we have observed was that there was a political timetable which was prepared by the United States for its own purpose. In case of Rwanda, an inefficient mandate and the Council's refusal to strengthen the peacekeeping force once the genocide became doomed the operation. Britain, United States, and even France all actively avoided the term genocide in the case of Rwanda. And because of that, the mission came to an failure end. Similarly, we have cases like Iraq, when in 2003, many defense forces proceeded without even the approval of the United Nations Security Council. So all these performances actually diluted the role of UNSC in acting as a net security provider to maintain international peace. Other major flaws include the inequality because, as we have seen in the distribution of the seats, why Eastern Europe was given one seat despite having less number of nations, and top of all, they also have less number of population and security issues. Similarly, there is the issue of exclusiveness. Nations like US, Russia, and China have been meeting their own personal interest when it comes to the deployment of the forces. Rotation of the seats have diluted the role of those nations which are the largest contributors. Example, India, which has provided one of the highest number of soldiers to fight in the UN peacekeeping forces. And the last one being the representation, which we have discussed in point 1 and point 2. The reforms which are required as far as UNSC is concerned are as follows. In 2008, a decision 62/557 was adopted, and it defines 5 key issues. See, if you are writing a question in the mains examination regarding UNSC, try to quote this decision in your answer and also quote one or two of these points instead of quoting just generic point in your answer. So the first one is the category of membership. Of course, if this reform is brought into practice, there will be either the same category, permanent, or there will be a different category altogether, that is all being non-permanent. Then we also have questions on veto, because as of now, even if one permanent member goes for veto, the resolution breaks down. We also require regional representation. Either it could be on the basis of the population or the contribution of the forces, or it could be based on the one continent, one vote. We also require reforms related to the size of the enlarged Security Council and its working method. See, in 1945, we never had over 150 members in the UN, but now we have. So, in that case, the size of the Security Council should also be expanded. Plus, its role should also be brought wider than a net security provider. And lastly, the relationship between Security Council and the General Assembly should be more cordial and transparent. So given all this discussion, now I will leave you with an important question based for the means practice. So read this question carefully and try to answer within 12 minutes of time. With this discussion in place, now I will leave you with question of the day.